What's up, engineers? Indie Dev Dan here. In this video, I have 6 Claude Code pro tips that will help you achieve asymmetric engineering in the generative AI age. But the big theme behind the face value of this video is that tools like Claude Code, MCP, and AI coding assistants and agents enable you to build systems that build systems for you. This is the advantage you and I have as engineers. Vibe coding is the lowest hanging fruit. System building enables you to reuse the value you create over and over and over. So with this lens, let me share my top 6 Claude Code tips for agentic coding you can use to accelerate your engineering in the Gen AI age. The Claude Code team is shipping in the shadows. Let's cover some of their new releases and a few techniques you can use to ship faster than ever. Let's start with one of my new favorite techniques, context priming. Let's open up Cursor and let's fire off Claude. You can see I have 5 MCP servers. We're going to cover a few of those in this video. But first, what is context priming? How can it help you use Claude Code in a more efficient, effective way? When you first start up Claude, it's effectively an empty agent. It doesn't see what you see. It can't see your code base. It doesn't know what you know. It's basically a blank page. It's a blank agent. We need to let it know what you're working on. I've started adding this inside of all of my READMEs. If we open up the README and search for context priming, you can see I have this simple prompt. Let's copy this and paste it in the Claude and fire it off. This is going to let Claude read the essential files of the code base and then run git ls files to understand the code base. You can see here the Claude Code engineers have implemented a couple new awesome features. We're doing parallel reads with this cool sub agent call tool. All these items are now getting added to Claude Code's context window at application startup. You can see here it's giving us a nice summary, but most importantly, it now has this information inside of its context window. If we type /cost, you can see there, of course, this is not a cheap tool, right? You're gonna have to pay to play with Claude Code, but you can see here, we've done some operations already. We have 40 cents worth of work that is now context, aka active memory for Claude Code. This lets you set up your AI coding assistant to win right away by downloading the essential elements of your code base. I highly recommend you add something like this to your README so that you can get started quickly when you have to reset your Claude Code instances when you're nearing that 200K context token window limit. As you'll see here in a moment when we run an AI coding prompt, this small tweak speeds up your work quite a bit. If we run git ls files, we can now see a general structure of the code base. I also like to run tree sometimes and pass that into Claude. And so as you can see here, we are operating in the single file agents code base. This is something we've worked on the channel. All the work we're doing here is going to be available to you. Link in the description. We're using UV to build up these powerful single file agents. Again, we're going to look at these in just a moment here. That's tip number 1. Let's move on to tip number 2. Context is king. This is not new if you've been working in the AI coding space and if you've been working with language models. You always want to be feeding Claude Code and your AI coding tools the context it needs to get the job done. If we type /MCP here, you can see I have 5 MCP servers in this current project. The winning engineers in the Gen AI age will always be thinking from the perspective of their AI agents. What can they see? If someone were to prompt me with this context and this tool, would I be able to accomplish the task? Having the right tools and the right MCP servers gives your Claude Code instances what it needs to succeed. I think of MCP servers and tools in 2 classes. We have collectors and we have executors. First, you collect context with your collectors, and then you execute CRUD operations, right? You update files, you update databases, you operate on information. You have collectors and you have executors. Right now, I have 2 primary tools for collection. I use the out-of-the-box fetch tool right from the Anthropic servers, and I also use Firecrawl MCP. Firecrawl is a simple tool. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but they are my recommendation if you want to scrape and crawl single websites, if you want to extract key information, and also if you want to traverse multiple pages. They also help you get around some of the SSR and server rendering issues and blocking that tools like Fetch are limited by. Let's go ahead and take a look at the new file editor agent using Sonnet 3.7. This is really cool. This is a new simple file editing agent that can edit files using the brand new text editor for 3.7 Sonnet specifically. This is a brand new text editor tool that enables you to build agents that can edit files precisely. This is a massively important tool for agents. This is a great example of an executor tool. And so we have this brand new tool. Inside of this agent, we can do something like this. I can just copy this. We're using UV single file scripts. I'll open up a new terminal instance here, and I'll just say summarize into a new readme summary.md. Okay, so this is a simple file editing agent. It can read and write. And let's go ahead and full screen this. You can see we're calling the view tool here. It read the readme. It has those 20 lines. And now it's written that file. So with 3 agent loops and really just 2, it's read a file and then it's created a file and then it's reported the results. You can see the token output here. So now we should be able to open up this new README summary. And you can see here we have that exactly. Here we have a nice concise summary of what's been done. This is all built on top of Anthropic's brand new text editing tool built specifically for 3.7 Sonnet. Anthropic realizes how important file editing is for building out, you guessed it, effective agents. So there's a new additional feature that I want to add to this agent. Anthropic has also shipped this brand new token efficient tool use beta flag. So let's go ahead and pull this content and add this to our existing agent. So instead of, shipping this previous command, let's go ahead and copy this out. We want to be able to copy this efficiency. Okay, and then this will run with the beta flag. So this is a single page, so it's really simple. Normally you could just copy this, but I want to show off how important it is to have these tools embedded in Claude Code. Let's say we needed a couple pages of documentation, right? What I'll do here is I'll just copy this, open up a new file, paste that there, and then copy this URL as well, paste that there, and then I'll write a prompt right in this file. Fetch, combine, and then do this, right? So I'm gonna copy this and we have our fetch tool inside of Claude Code MCP. So now we can just paste and let this fire off. So this is gonna run fetch on both these and it's gonna create a new markdown document. We've talked about this in previous videos, but I wanna highlight this one more time. It's super, super important to think of your tools as collectors and executors. And so you can see here, we have Claude Code's new parallel run subtask. It just ran both of those at the same time. It's now looping through the actual content and it's going to create a new file. So let's go ahead and look at our AI docs. You can see we have several docs in here already. And this is going to create a new markdown document for us with this content collected automatically. Fantastic. We're going to go into YOLO mode. We want Claude Code operating in its full agentic form. We'll hit yes. And you can see this new document added here. It has both the tool use docs and the efficient tool use combined. So this is great, right? Now that we have collected the context for this, we can go ahead and write a follow-up AI coding prompt to update our existing single file agent file editor with the new Sonnet 3.7 file editing tool. And we can have it update to actually use, let me go ahead and collapse everything so you can see what we have here. You can see all the file editing tools. And we can go ahead and update this to use the new flag, right? So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to use my file reference hotkey. For me, it's Command Shift R. I highly recommend you set this. I'm going to paste that in and then I'll say update via a -- efficiency flag. So we're going to kick that off. To be super clear, we don't need to reread this file because it is in fact already in the context window, right? Claude just wrote that, so it has it in its context window. You always want to be thinking from your agent's perspective. You can see it's running the read tool here, right? It's saying create a Flask API with 3 endpoints with the efficiency token flag there. We're also passing in the thinking tokens and max compute loops. And there we go. So there's the code coming in, -- efficiency flag. That looks great. Let's go ahead and full screen this so we can watch. And looks like we got a little error here, premature close. I'm just going to say continue. The Anthropic APIs over the past couple of weeks have been absolutely hammered. And, it's very likely to the mass adoption of Claude 3.7 Sonnet on top of Claude Code. I've had many API rate limits in the past. So, okay, so this looks great. So it looks like that change got in. You can see Claude Code summarizing everything that got changed. That looks awesome. You can see that brand new message args beta flag. So let me give you tip 3 and 4 together. We're going to have Claude Code review and actually execute this code. We've already covered that in previous videos, right? We're closing the loop. We're letting our AI coding tools, get the feedback it needs by actually just executing the command. But there's a couple key commands right inside of Claude that you should be aware of. If we type /release, you can see that there are release notes now. That's tip 3. It might seem simple, but the Claude Code engineers are really shipping in the shadows here, and you want to be keeping track of everything you're releasing. If we hit enter here, I want to point out something really cool that was just released. You can say, ask Claude to make a plan with thinking mode. So obviously, they're tapping into Claude's hybrid base reasoning model capabilities. If you say think harder, or ultra think, you will tap into these. So that's tip number 4. Let's go ahead and use that tip. We just set up this brand new efficiency flag by pulling in this context using an MCP server. Here it is here, and I'm going to update this prompt just a little bit, create a Flask API with 3 endpoints inside of agent workspace. Yeah, sure, that looks good. And so now we have this here. It's going to run in efficiency mode, and we're also going to have thinking tokens. What I want to do here is create 2 versions, right? I want this to run without efficiency and with efficiency so that we can actually see the difference. I'm not going to run this, right? There's no reason for me to do this. I'm going to hand this work off to Claude Code. I'm going to hand this work off to my AI coding tools. So I'm going to copy this, and then we're going to also combine this with a think mode. And so here's what I'll do. I'll move over to our temporary file. I'll paste this command in, test out the token efficient exactly, the following command without -- efficiency, and then we'll say with. And there we go, we're getting some great auto completions from cursor tab. And then what I want to say here is record think hard in the review process, okay? I'm gonna paste this into Claude Code, and then I'm gonna fire this off, okay? So now it's going to actually run the agent itself. It's going to, keep track of the results, and then it's going to run both in efficiency mode and without efficiency mode. Okay, so you can see the output of our agent there. We had an issue with our thinking tokens. Looks like we're passing in way too many thinking tokens. Let's go ahead and drop that down. So I'm gonna drop this down. Let's run this at the minimum for thinking tokens, which is 1024. So I'll copy and then paste this back in and rerun. So we're gonna kick off the first command here, running without the efficiency beta flag. There we go. So we can see, there's the total token usage there. And now we're gonna run with the efficiency flag. So you can see we use a total of 5,700 tokens. We'll just go ahead and copy that out, and we'll just throw this in a file here. And then we'll go ahead and run with efficiency. Looks like we're getting a little error here. We're gonna go ahead and let Claude do its thing. Okay, so you can see here Sonnet picking up on an error that it made. It actually is using this older syntax where you import anthropic.beta. This is good. This is why we have the documentation there. It can automatically make corrections when it needs to. So there it is. It just made that change. And you can see there, yep, nice. So we're going to continue down the line. All we want to do is check to see if we have that use efficiency token there. There we go. We can get rid of that code. That looks great. And then we're just going to remove. I always like to be really careful when I look at the, any type of RM. But that looks good. We want to remove that one file. That's fine. And now we should be in a good place to rerun. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Okay, so we want to run without efficiency flag. That's fine. It wants to redo the process. There we go. So let's go ahead and copy this value here. Right, we have 6,000 tokens. Let's go ahead and update our token value. So we have 6,000 tokens here. Then it wants to reset and basically run it again, right? With the efficiency flag. So let's go ahead and hit yes. And let's see how the efficiency token flag can save us some tokens for our agents. So let's take a look. You can see here, Claude Code is giving us a nice analysis. It looks like without token efficiency, we got 6K tokens, and with, we got 5.7. So not a major, saving, but not too bad either, right? It looks like we got 5.7% reduction. And it looks like the big savings, which is honestly where you want to have the savings, is in the output tokens, right? Because the output tokens are priced at, I think, $15 per million, right? So this is really good, actually. We want to be saving on the output token. So this is an example of how several tips, several techniques can come together, right? Context is king. You want to be paying attention to what your AI coding assistant can see, what's actively inside its context window. And then we also looked at the /release. So /release notes tells you what are the Claude Code engineers cooking up, right? This is super, super important. We also then tapped into Claude's thinking tokens, right? Claude 3.7's reasoning capabilities. So this is super, super powerful. So we've now updated our agent. If I search for, -- efficiency, we can see we have that brand new efficiency flag that enables, you can see here, if use token efficiency, we then add this new cool beta flag, right? So that looks great. It did save us, some 5-6% of tokens. That will definitely add up over time. All right, so tip number 5, if I type / and hit down a couple times, you're going to see something pretty cool. If I scroll to the bottom, you'll see I have a couple of prompts, right? So a couple of my MCP servers have built-in prompts that I can just run. Okay, so you can see fetch has the obvious one that you would think. If I hit enter here, it's going to set up Claude Code to have that URL that I can pass in, right? So the key thing I want to show off here is not the fetch tool again. It's the fact that you can use these / commands to quickly activate one of the prompts. If we look at the model context protocol servers, if we go into fetch again, we can see that there's this prompt, right? And this is really cool. I think this is a pretty underused element of MCP servers. You can create predefined prompts where you have your MCP host pass in specific variables, right? So a simple example here is just fetch, right? So we type /fetch, and this is a prompt that we now have access to, right? If we also look at, there's another one here for SQLite. Let's hop into something a little bit newer. You can see there's a prompt here that provides a demonstration of how to use SQLite with MCP, right? So if we clear this out and I type MCP, you can see that we do have our SQLite MCP, and then I can type /SQL, and you can see here that exact command, right? So this is a prompt that we can fill in with variables. You can see the argument there is topic. So if I hit enter here, whatever, sales. Now it's going to send back to the SQLite MCP server that we have installed, and it's going to start setting up some data, right? So if we scroll up here, it's going to kind of walk through this scenario, walk through this setup. The whole point here is that MCP servers allow you to tap into these different prompts. And so that can be pretty powerful. So one more tip I want to give you here is the fact that you can add Claude MCP servers very quickly with JSON format. So here's how I like to do this. Let's go ahead and close this Claude instance. You can see we spent $3 there. And let me go ahead and run, Claude MCP list. Just as an example, let me go ahead and get rid of fetch. So we can say Claude MCP remove fetch. Okay, so this will remove that. And if we clear run MCP list, we'll see that we no longer have the fetch command there, right? If we hop back into Claude, I have an alias for Claude, just CLD, saving a couple keystrokes, do /MCP, you can see our connected MCP servers. Then if we hop back into the release notes, you'll see that we can add MCP servers as JSON strings. So this is a simple but very useful way to get up and running with MCP servers inside of Claude Code. So if I just copy this, open up a new file, paste this in, and let's get fetch reinstalled. So the name for this is going to be fetch MCP, and then all we need now is JSON. How do we set the JSON for this? If we open up fetch server again, let's just go back here, scroll down to the UVX, we have this command here, right? So we can go ahead, just copy this, and then we can paste this, and then we need to just clean this up a little bit. So all we need is the content inside of the actual object. Okay, so we don't need MCP servers. This is for Claude Desktop, and we also don't need this kind of starting key value. So we can get rid of that, get rid of the trailing brace, and then we can just use this, right? So this is valid JSON. We can then take this and paste it here. What I like to do here is run something like this. We do $PB paste, and then this will take whatever's on our clipboard and just use that, right? So we can close Claude Code here and then paste this value and then copy whatever JSON we want to use and then hit enter here. And this is gonna add that brand new fetch MCP server just as we defined, okay? So now if I type, Claude MCP list, you're going to see that right here, right? Fetch-MCP, and then we can run Claude. And you can see here we found 5 MCP servers. If I go ahead and type /MCP, you're going to see that new fetch MCP server up and running. You can quickly add MCP servers into Claude Code using JSON format. And they also added this, Claude MCP add step-by-step wizard that you can also use. So if we clear and run this, you can see that they have a setup command there that you can use to step-by-step walk through adding a new MCP server. So obviously I like the JSON approach. It's a little bit faster if you know what you're doing, but equally as good, you can just come in here and name them whatever you want. You can set up the project scope. These are all, command line flags, and then, path to server, so on and so forth, right? So this is a nice way to walk through the process. I think the Claude Code team is really executing here. They're creating a lot of value inside of this tool. Again, it's super important to note, as mentioned in our previous video, Claude Code is seeing massive mass adoption. This tool is really paving the way for the next phase of engineering, right? We started with doing everything by hand, typing code manually. We moved to copilots. We then started iteratively writing prompts and using AI coding tools. The next big phase is agentic coding. And at the forefront, really, the poster child for this is Claude Code, specifically with 3.7 Sonnet. This is a breakthrough tool that's allowing new capabilities for agentic coding. When you combine it with MCP, you can now equip your AI coding assistant, your agentic coding tool, with all of the capabilities it needs to run not just programming tasks, but to run tools that allow you to collect and execute across various domains. As engineers, it's ultra important to take advantage of these tools and focus on building systems that build systems for us. Where we're going on the channel, and a place I highly recommend you spend some time investing, is look at what agents you can build to multiply your productivity to help you scale up what you can do. Agents allow you to scale your impact even further. Remember that Claude Code itself is just an agent, right? It's an agent for engineering. It's an agent for the terminal. It's the agent for engineering. A big focus on the channel is going to be building out agents for various use cases and understanding agent design and agent architecture at a fundamental level. If that interests you, join the journey, make sure you're subscribed. This is how we scale our impact and consume more compute to work on our behalf. We're barely scratching the surface of what we can do with agents. This is our unique advantage. Do not underestimate this. It's time to start gathering your suite of tools, of both collection and execution tools, so that you can continue to scale up what you can do with incredible AI coding tools like Claude Code. These are just 5 of several MCP servers that I'm looking at and playing with. Comment down below. Let me know what MCP servers are your favorites. A lot of this will depend on the tools and the tooling that you use to engineer. You might be using Postgres, you might be in Docker a lot, so you'll be using the Docker tools. Comment down below, let me know what you're using. Let me know what your favorite tools are. If you made it this far into the video, drop the like, subscribe, join the journey. The key here is to focus on building systems that help you build systems. Stay focused and keep building.